We're checking out the road to nowhere today, right here on Greatness Outdoors. Hey everybody, welcome to Greatness Outdoors. And I am here just outside of Bryson City, North Carolina today, checking out the road to nowhere. This is a great little thing to do when you've got just a little bit of time that you want to spend, see something that doesn't take a ton of time. This is a nice little hike. Well, I say hike, it's not even really a hike. You just park the car, and this tunnel is kind of right here. Um, I'll tell you a little bit more about the tunnel itself, but let's get walking first. Right over here. As I said, it is a very short walk from the parking lot, only a few hundred yards, to the entrance of the tunnel, to the road to nowhere. And when we get there, I decide it's time to dive right in and begin our journey down the road to nowhere through this dark tunnel. And as you can see, a very popular spot for graffiti. There's spray paint everywhere all along the walls of this cave. And so as I'm doing my walk through here, I think this will be a good time to tell you a little bit about the interesting history of the road to nowhere, why there's a tunnel up in the mountains that leads to nothing. So in the 1930s and 40s, the U.S. was in the midst of World War II. And for the war, they needed all kinds of resources. So what did they do? They went out and made an agreement with Swain County in North Carolina in the Smoky Mountains to get a good deal of their land. And the county agreed to give the government a bunch of the land. And what the government did with the land was they built Fontana Lake. They flooded a community, displaced several hundred people from their homes to create this dam in order to be able to produce electricity to make resources for the war. Now, a problem here was that these people that were displaced from their homes, they still had their family cemeteries back where their homes were, near the areas that were flooded, and they couldn't get to those. So the government agreed, as part of the deal, to build a road to get to these cemeteries. Well, they started building this road, and when they got to where this tunnel, the road to nowhere, is built, they encountered some environmental issues where it was going to be too costly to build the road. So what did they do? They stopped. That's why this is the road to nowhere. You have this tunnel. They were in the middle of building the road, and they just stopped right at the tunnel because of environmental issues. So since they didn't finish the road, they did agree to offer ferry services on the weekends to people, free ferry services to relatives to go back and visit their graves. That was the trade-off. Now, this was a big deal. The government didn't hold up on what they said they were going to do, so it ended up being a big lawsuit between the county and the government. Lawsuit from something that happened back in the 40s was not settled until 2010. Talk about stretching that one out. But really, interesting, somewhat sad history of why you have this road to nowhere up in the mountains. So what do you think about the history? To me, I find it a little strange that, they could flood this whole area, bury all these lands and habitats, and no environmental issue was created in that. But when they got to building the road over there, oh man, there was an environmental issue. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the issue was, but to me, that sounds just a little bit fishy. I also find it a bit sad that the lawsuit was stretched out for that long that it couldn't be fixed. That's my thoughts on it. Kind of an interesting history. What do you think about it? Is this right? What's going on? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Anyway, I'm approaching the light at the end of the tunnel here, so let me join you as I exit and see you on the other side. So I'm standing here, made it out the other side, and it's really strange to just have this up here. And you think you have this big tunnel, you have cars coming through, to be something on the other side, but there's not. So it's just really kind of creepy, but cool to see. I'm glad we came up and checked it out. It is a nice little short hike if you're looking for something to do in Bryson City. Highly recommend you check it out at least once. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, folks. We got a lot of things going on in Greatness Outdoors. We're here in Bryson City this week, so going to be doing some cool stuff. You don't want to miss it. Be sure and subscribe. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good one.